It's incredible how many different heavy-duty shelving units there are out there. In today's video, I'm going to cover the criteria that I considered when selecting this one, and then I'll also go over the installation process. All right, so I came up with a list of 4 different categories that I was considering when buying the shelf. Price, shelf structure, weight classification, and time spent assembling it. All right, so let's go over those 4 things. Price. First of all, you can find some heavy duty shelving units dirt cheap online. Like I found some for about 50 bucks, and I even saw some evidence on various forums that people were using them for fish tanks. That was not adequate for me. I was not looking for bottom of the line price kind of stuff. From my understanding, a lot of those units might be able to support weight in like perfect world situation. You know, it like could have 1,000 pounds on it, but the second you push it that way, boom! So I decided to avoid anything that was really dirt cheap. I wanted to feel really safe about it. So that leads us into the next thing that was important for me was shelf structure. When it comes to the shelves, I was really wanting something that had a bar along the middle to help with supporting weight across this way as well as this way. And then I wanted these little rebar, metal rebar, I don't know if that's a term, but you can see what they are, structure along the bottom. So many of the shelves were just metal plates basically that sit on top of these frames here. So they really only have like a tiny bit of overlap with what's holding them. And in my mind, that has the potential to have some sag in the middle. And that just didn't sit right with me. So I made sure to find this one here that checks those boxes when it comes to the shelving structure. The third thing is weight classification. So I want this shelving unit to be rated for far more than I'm going to use it. I was able to sit on the shelves during the assembly process. It wasn't very pretty. I didn't fit in very well, but I was able to get on them and test the weight out, and it did not feel like this thing was going to collapse. If anything, me wiggling around is not great for the overall structure of this thing. Um, but each shelf is rated for 500 pounds, and I'm not quite 500 pounds, so I wasn't testing it to its full limit, but that's fine. Each shelf theoretically can have up to 150 pounds, maybe 200 pounds if I put a 20 long down here. Oh yeah, no, sorry, I'm totally wrong. This is about 200 pounds on this shelf, about 130 here, and about 100 pounds up here. So we're not even coming close to the maximum weight of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 2,500 pounds on this whole unit. All right, so the last thing that I considered was time. I am a woodworker by hobby. Like I built this desk here, and I built some other stands around the house. That's the kind of thing that I do like when I want to build something that looks really nice. Um, it's kind of enjoyable. I don't think that building a 2x4 rack would have looked any nicer than this. This is pretty slick looking. And also, it would have taken me a ton of time. Wood isn't cheap these days. It maybe would have come out slightly under the 150-ish dollars that I spent on this rack. But I would have spent hours and hours and hours building it. And then my anal retentive side would have been like, oh, well, I got to sand it, and then I got to stain it, and I got to finish it, and I got to put trim on it. Like there's no quick way for me to build a wooden rack. This whole thing took me about 20 minutes to assemble, and then probably another 30 minutes of cutting the shelves, routing edges, doing a very light sand and painting them. So without further ado, let's get into the instructional part of how I put this shelving unit together, as well as a couple things that I think are worth considering if you're going to be assembling a similar style shelving unit. Okay, so first of all, before we look at some B-roll of me assembling the shelves, let's talk about my logic of why I put the shelves in the order they are, and then like how you want to distribute the weight, because these are all advertised as you must have even weight distribution, otherwise there's going to potentially be a collapse. So even weight distribution, what does that mean? Well, that's not only like when it comes to this side compared to this side, but it's also spreading the weight evenly throughout the whole rack. So um, units like this are most structurally sound when you support them from the bottom. It's the same way when you're building furniture. You want to make sure that whatever legs you're putting on a couch or a table or something that's going to hold a ton of weight, like an aquarium stand, they're really secure. So when they're not secure, what you risk happening when you put weight on top is those legs splay out and then the whole thing collapses downwards. So that's the reason that I started with the very bottom possible rungs for these shelves. And I put this one down here. There's really not much weight on there, just some like ocean treasures, clamshells and stuff I collected at the beach. And then I decided to put the next shelf in close proximity to that, because that's going to really tie that bottom together, the foundation of this whole shelf. It's going to give it a concrete foundation that we can rely on. So after getting that in place, I put these two aquariums first, and then these aquariums, and then this aquarium. So, like I already kind of mentioned that you put a bunch of weight on the top and it's topsy-turvy. Gradually put the weight upwards. When we're dealing with such small amounts of weight, like, 100 pounds and 50 pounds here, it's not a huge deal if there is a little bit of discrepancy between the left and right. What's more important, again, is that you start from the bottom and work your way up. Okay, I think that's it. Let's look at some B-roll of me assembling the shelf and go over the whole process. This installation process is pretty darn easy. You start by putting the feet on these metal posts. Make sure that the smaller end of the holes is facing down where the feet are. That's important for assembling the shelves later on. Like I mentioned before, I like to put the first shelf all the way at the bottom. All you do is stick this shelf bracket in place and then bang it down with a mallet. And then you go around putting all the shelf braces in place, banging them with the mallet again, and slowly work your way up. I wanted this second shelf to be pretty close to the first one, just to provide extra stability at the base. And then work my way up. Bang, bang, bang. This took about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes altogether. Once you get to the middle, there are these connector bits, and then you don't have to put any tabs or anything in place. You just put the following braces on top, or you could assemble two side-by-side pieces if you wanted. I think this is a good opportunity to talk about assembly. I saw some people assembling this wrong. They would put shelves as the connector bits, but they clearly provide you with these connector bits to use, so use them. And there were actually a fair bit of negative reviews on this product, and pretty much all of them that I saw had to do with assembly. Looked like people assembled it wrong, or they were having problems when they banged the braces in place. It would come out at the other end. So to get around that, I would use my hands and push it down first, like try and really get it in place, and then use the mallet afterwards. If you don't have it already kind of in a snug fit and then you smack the mallet down, it will definitely pull it out the other end. And then slide in place these middle braces, the little rebar thing shelves. And then I used some plywood. I cut some shelves to fit the space on the rebar. It's going to make me feel more confident about adding tanks to it, just kind of distributing the weight more evenly, especially when it comes to all glass tanks. Pretty straightforward. Cut them, routed some edges, and then gave it a quick sand, painted it down. And that's that for that rack. If you found this video helpful or enjoyed it, please go ahead and hit that like or subscribe button. It helps to promote my content, and I do put a lot of effort into this. Appreciate your support so much. Sincerely, thanks a lot. Until next time, see ya.